Okay, back to me. We're now going to start rolling out the dough. I first need to prepare my pillowcase. Needs a fair amount of flour. Basically season it. So I'm going to spread a lot of flour on this. So as we remarked before, the dough is fairly sticky. So got to be really careful about making sure we've got plenty of dough down. So we can get the rounds of the pierogi so they don't stick to the cloth, and just even that out. So see, we're just I will be adding flour continually in this process as I go through each of the dough. It is terrible if you don't have enough flour to work with. Okay, that looks like it's pretty well seasoned. Now what I'm going to do is take half of the dough here. The dough is nice, it's very sticky. It's still quite sticky. It's been setting for 20 minutes. And I'm just going to cut it in half and only work at this point with half. This to me is going to be a pretty good dough. And why we keep it sticky is because it rolls out very nice and easily. And if it's too dry, it seems that the pierogi turn out really tough and very chewy. So to avoid that, this seems to work out really well if you've got a wet dough. And a number of people have written and said they've got a problem with the pierogi being too tough, too chewy. This is where people, I think, really go wrong with this. So, okay, I'm going to spread it out, put some more flour on my trusty roller here, and just start rolling it out fine. What I want to try and achieve is something probably a little bit thicker than a 1/16 of an inch. So it's going to be pretty fine out here. This part is kind of a guy thing. This is a lot of energy. That doesn't mean that anybody can't do it. It just takes a while to get it nice and thin. Nothing special about rolling, just a lot of work. Now, even though I took half the dough, I want to see just how much of the surface I'm going to use on this pillowcase. And I think for my next dough, I probably will actually use a full dough. Now, a single dough will make about 30 pierogi, somewhere between 26 and 30 pierogi, depending on how thick we make them, the dough is. Constantly feeling to make sure that it's even, and make sure I'm getting close to the proper thickness. This is getting close. Got Christmas music in the background, that's obligatory. And I have enough flour on this that it's not sticking, which is important. This is close. Now we're going to bring in the camera close to try and give you an idea of what thickness this is. That's another feature that we've got to worry about all the time, just how thick the dough is. Okay, now you can see that this is fairly thin. Just bring my finger up to give you a feel for how thin it is. We're roughly about a 1/16 of an inch, maybe slightly thicker, but this will work out very nicely. So now we'll move back to actually cutting out and filling the pierogi. I'm going to show you two techniques for making the pierogi and sealing and filling and sealing the pierogi. I'm going to show you the old-fashioned technique, which is still used by people, of course. When you're going to make just a small batch, it's very effective and it makes sense. You don't need any special tools. So to do that, we have to cut out some rounds. Now, typically, people may use glasses, they may use a used can, for instance, like a 2-pound can with, say, a 4-inch diameter, roughly 4-inch diameter, you can use to cut out the rounds. In our case, as I said, we have these things called Pampered Chefs, cut and seals. And this is a 4-inch variety. We also have a 3-inch you'll see me use later on. Basically, this one I'm only going to use at the moment just to cut out the round, to show you how we use it in that mode. So I'm just going to place it on there towards the edge. Cut that out. Make sure it's free. It is. Okay. Now I'm going to add a little bit of filling to that. And this is another thing, Chris was talking about getting the dough right. Well, here's another thing that takes us a while to get used to. How much filling do we put in each one of these? And it's, again, another judgment call until we remember how to do it. Oh, I can see the specks of black pepper in there. It looks great. So, got just a little dollop of the, we're working with the potato mixture first here. So now I'm going to bring this over and fold it over. No, I'm not. I forgot something already. And some of you will have mothers who would remember screaming, or relatives screaming, make sure you seal them correctly. Well, here's a case where I didn't do it right. No, just a little bit of water in a bowl. What I'm doing is applying it around half of the circle so that it will seal much better. Bring it over and then pick that up and pinch it all the way across. And make sure you're applying a fair amount of pressure. You don't want any leaks at all. Make sure you get these edges. And that's pierogi number 1. Okay, should we do another one? Let's do another one. Okay, that did not quite cut out completely. I use a fair amount of pressure here. I missed it. Okay, that should do it. Now, Chris and I always have a running discussion, we'll call it, on neatness of the pierogi. That was a very nice one, my first one. They don't always come out quite that nice. But hey, it's the taste, and that really is interesting and what we're after. That's my opinion. Okay, so again, I'm going to seal the edges. Make sure it's all sealed. Oop, there was an edge there that was not sealed. Okay, okay. I'm going to show you number 2 technique, and this is the one that we typically use for making the pierogi. Why go to this? Because we're going to make somewhere today between 180 and 200 pierogi. That's one heck of a lot of work. We're probably going to be at this 6 hours, maybe even longer, because we're trying to film this, so time is really dragging on. But at any rate, I'm going to show you the way we normally operate with this for making a large batch. In this case, what I'm going to do is now add filling to a dollop of filling, a whole string of these. And again, I'm going to have to try and figure out what works, what doesn't work on this. I'm going to place them, I'm going to switch to a 3-inch cut and seal from Pampered Chef. And so I really want to put these about 3 inches apart, center to center. to be quite honest, we won't know about whether we're adding the right amount of filling until we actually cook these. And of course you get to taste them right off of there. Okay. Now I really want to use as much of the first dough as I can. I am going to work hard to make sure I've got these all together and as few scraps as I can. And the reason is, every time I roll the dough or work the dough, it gets harder. And it's real easy. I may be up to 3 rollings when I get done making everything. And those pierogi from the third rolling are definitely tougher than from the first. Okay, so let's see how this is going to work out. Again, it's our first run of the season on this. So we'll have to see just how it works. I'm rolling this over now. I'm also stretching the dough in doing that a little bit, which keeps it nice and thin. Dough tends to relax, of course. Okay, now that one's going to be trouble. You don't want to trap any filling in the edge. Now, take the cutting seal, place it between and over the filling, making sure that the edge is there. Now, notice I didn't do any wetting on this. This does such a nice job that I can completely avoid that wetting stage. And we just, first off, go down and then press this in, and again, and that's it. Well, I missed on this edge. Okay, so gotta check them again, make sure they're sealed down. And that is typically how it comes out the first time. Okay, let's do another one. We'll do a whole string here. And make sure it's sealed. And these are not quite sealing down. I gotta check this. Make sure it's coming down okay. Yeah, it is. It's me. I'm not applying enough pressure. There it goes. That's what I wanted. There we go. It was hanging up on me a bit. That's more like what it should be. And if you're into designs, it produces a nice design as well. After doing 200 of these, my hand will have an indentation from this little nub on the top here, but at any rate, that's what it is. Again, I check to make sure they're sealed down properly.